So this is my first look at a Udon Street Fighter book. This is Street Fighter 6 Volume 1 Days of the Eclipse, based on the fairly new Street Fighter 6 video game, which I have not played because it's, as far as I know, only available on the PlayStation. I don't own a PlayStation. It's a pretty cool cover. I didn't recognize either of the characters. This here is Luke Sullivan, who is the main protagonist in the new game, and this is Ken, which I didn't recognize because he's not in his traditional red gi. This is, I believe, the 21st hardcover Udon book that I own, and I wouldn't buy all these books if I didn't enjoy them, but I'm going to tell you, I think this one is terrible. So it's unfortunate, and I'd like to go back and discuss some of the other ones that were much better, because I feel bad hammering this one when I've enjoyed so many. But this is pretty terrible. I am going to talk later more about Street Fighter in other videos, because Street Fighter, apparently the license for movies has been bought up by Legendary Pictures, and this happened more than a year ago. I just didn't even notice it. So we'll see if they're going to create something, but hopefully they will. I have actually never seen one of the live-action Street Fighter movies. There's been a few, and I think the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme I probably would enjoy. So anyway, let's get back to the book. Here is the main character. I don't like this artwork. This is Luke Sullivan, who does not look like this, or maybe this is an alternate costume in the video game. When I looked at him, he kind of looks like Curtis Stryker from Mortal Kombat, which is not the way a character wants to look, because Curtis Stryker was one of the most regrettable characters in Street Fighter history. So there's just nothing in here that tells me that he's anything but average. The Street Fighter character should be bigger than life, and he doesn't feel that way. So I'm not really invested in the character. So there he is. He's looking interesting there, but that's not how he looks in the book. There he is, just some dude. So the main story is that there's going to be a tournament put on in some country called Nashao. I don't know. It's like a Middle Eastern country, and it's going to be funded by the now retired Ken Masters. There's a whole bunch of stuff with his son, Mel Masters, and that tournament never happens. So spoiler alert, I don't avoid spoilers. So the main villain in this is JP, or Johan Petrovich. And I'm going to show pictures of him. This is a video game series that had M. Bison, Seth, Gil. Johan Petrovich, JP, is really boring. It turns out that this whole scheme is by JP is part of a money laundering plot to steal money from the tournament. Now, I'd hoped through the book, this is not a short book. This is a pretty big book. I had hoped throughout that we were going to see a tournament. We don't ever see a tournament. It never happens. It's just boring. There's no fight at all. So we finally do get to the tournament. So there's JP looking, some of the art in here, like this particular artist, because they do, Udon tends to use different artists. Sometimes he doesn't draw eyes. I assume it's just a stylistic choice. But why? Let me find some examples. Now I'm not finding any examples. So there, he's got no eye. And I guess we're supposed to mentally fill it in. But I don't know why he does it. Why this artist does it. She's got no face. Okay. So I said there's no tournament, so what am I talking about? we get to the tournament. So the tournament, there's JP. Whatever. I mean, his plot is really boring. Just money laundering. And apparently he's got all sorts of plans all over. And he runs an NGO. And so he's just a crook. So he starts the tournament. He says, I'm proud to introduce a native fighter of Nashal, Lima Bean. And so there's Lima Bean. So I did look up Lima Bean, and I guess he's a new character from Street Fighter 6, and he looks really boring. And he's going to be going against Boris Gagarin, the master of the Sambal fighting style. I looked him up. He also looks boring. These characters should be as memorable as possible. And by the way, through this whole book, from the original Street Fighter characters, other than some stuff in the end part here, we get Ken and a brief appearance by Chun-Li, and that's it. JP, I know, is a character in the game. He's in there. This Lima Bean is in there. We never actually see Boris Gagarin, because this is not Boris Gagarin. This is Ken. So it's Ken, and then Luke's. Now, Luke and Ken are both protagonists, and they're the only fight. So that's the only fight in this entire book, other than in the supplemental material. So Lima Bean says, "You're not the real opponent," and he shoves him. "Oh, I'm the real thing." So we get the big fight, which is two heroes fighting each other, because they've used AI to make it look like Ken Masters is behind this plot, and he's a terrorist. So Luke Sullivan, being a good guy, decides to fight him. He's being manipulated by JP. So Ken just punches him in the eye, and I guess gives him a permanent scar. So I guess that's why he's got. I guess maybe that's Ken's thing, is he scars people for life. So they're kind of moving about, and in the next frame, he's got him in a chokehold. Luke's got Ken in a chokehold. Okay, I don't know how we got to that point. And this fight is just poorly laid out. We got all this other stuff happening in the meantime. So he's Dad. All right, so we get Clench. He's inspired by his son. And then they're free. Okay. And I don't even like the art particularly anyway. Udon has certainly had better artists. So just surrender. If you do that, you could see Mel again. Huff, huff. Now, mind you that Luke was not going to be in this tournament. Neither was Ken. Ken is retired. So neither of these people really are theoretically tournament ready. But they're the only fight we get. So finally we get, I guess, the fight. Luke pastes him one right in the jaw. Then Ken fights back. Thok. Whap, whap, whap. Starts laying in punches. Whoop. Tup. Whoop, tup. So a few more fight. Wham! Right in the ribs. Fight over. The main protagonist in Street Fighter 6 is taken out with a punch to the ribs. How exciting. So, and then they put guns on Ken, and I guess he's arrested, but I don't know. It's terrible. This is a terrible book. These supplemental material look fun and colorful and exciting. But I guess Ken is in jail now, so his son Mel says, "Wherever you are, Dad, I see you." And is that the end? Is this a lead-in? Is it going to be finished within the game itself? I don't know, but I was bored. I was super bored. Almost no Street Fighter characters, and the Street Fighter characters that are in there, other than Ken and Chun-Li, who do almost nothing. I mean, Ken is easily the biggest character in there, or Ken and Luke are get the most page time, but I don't care about the villain. I didn't care about the plot. I don't care about Nashal. I don't care about anything. It's just boring. So anyway, I hate to say it because there are some really, really good books by Udon, and I'm going to go through and look at some other ones, but this is not one of them. So that's Street Fighter 6, Volume 1, Days of the Eclipse by Udon.